In 1940, US life expectancy was about 63, and at that same time, the Social Security Administration started giving out its first monthly benefits, and full retirement age was 65, 2 years after life expectancy. At first, this may seem strange, but before you jump to conclusions, let me show you why these numbers, although they are true, are so deceptive and why that's important to your retirement. I'm Mike from Canavan Wealth, so what am I talking about here? When most people talk about life expectancy, they're actually talking about life expectancy at birth, which is how long do we expect someone to live on average after they've been born. The distinction may seem trivial, but that's because you're looking at it through the lens of our modern society. Here is US life expectancy at birth going back to 1900. You can see how dramatically it's changed. Looking at this chart, you could imagine old age back around 1900 to be 45, but that's not what's going on. A 45-year-old in 1900 didn't die of old age. He died of tuberculosis or the flu or a gunshot wound. In fact, old age back in 1900 really wasn't that different than in 2000. In this chart from the Social Security Administration, you can see a slightly different statistic, which was life expectancy at age 65, or how much longer do you expect to live if you're already age 65? In 1900, as a male, you could expect to live about 11 more years, and in 2000, you could expect to live about 16 more years. Over 100 years later, and seniors are on average only living about 5 years longer. The dramatic change in life expectancy at birth over the last 120 years isn't when old age occurs, but the likelihood of getting a chance to grow old at all. In 1900, getting to 15 was a challenge, let alone 65. But childhood mortality, illness, violence, and all sorts of things have changed dramatically since then, making it easier to get to old age. But old age itself really hasn't changed that much. In fact, most federal pension systems like Social Security trace their roots back to Germany in 1890, when Otto von Bismarck created the first national old age insurance program. And full retirement age was 70. They reduced it 30 years later down to 65 in the 20s. They didn't make it age 65 and 70 so that they didn't have to pay benefits. People were living to their 70s in 1890. In fact, Bismarck himself was 74 when he created the system, and he lived 9 more years. In 135 years, old age really hasn't changed that much. It's the percentage of the population that is showing up to old age that's changing. I've implied that old age hasn't changed much, but that's not the whole story. You can see that in 1940 it was about 12 years, but it will likely pass 20 years in the near future, almost doubling the time people will be retired, and that is a big deal. All of this, of course, is having a dramatic impact on the Social Security system. More people are showing up to retirement, and they're spending twice as long in the system. It should be no surprise that the Social Security system is underfunded. It's also a double whammy on the back of the topic of this video about plummeting fertility rates all across the world, not just here in the US, and the impact that's going to have on the economy. If you enjoy content like this and want to see similar content, please consider subscribing to the channel. But I want to finish this video talking about the most important impact I see to your retirement, which is the way you plan for risk. All of my planning clients want to hear the same thing. You're going to be fine in retirement, and I promise you won't run out of money. But I can't tell the future, which makes that the one thing I can't promise. In 1940, if you were able to retire, it was at 65. You were most likely dead by 75. Today, we plan for clients living well into their 90s. If a couple are both alive at 65, there's a 47% chance that one of them will live to age 90. That means we're planning for a 25 to 35-year retirement. I tell all my clients that all these wonderful charts and tables really shouldn't be trusted more than a few years into the future. There's just too many variables to predict. The planning process is more about understanding what decision points will be coming in the future and setting yourself up in the most flexible position possible to capitalize on them. Retirement planning is not an amount of money you need or a binder of colorful charts. It's an ongoing process that will continue long into your retirement. This is actually part one of a two-part series. In the next video, I'll explain why you should stop planning for retirement and start planning for the rest of your life. And more importantly, why you will be happier if you take that approach. So please subscribe to the channel and possibly hit the notification bell to see when that video is released on November 9th. I hope this has been informative, and I'll talk to you soon.